Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. I've done this series a few times, probably about 10, around 10 different videos. And these are some of the worst album covers I've ever seen in my life. And, because I've done so many of these videos, I'm sure there's going to be times when I repeat, I show an album cover again. But for the most part, I think at least 85% of these I've never talked about before. Not that I want to talk about them. So first we have from the great band Yes, Rick Wakeman with one of his solo albums called Rhapsodies. And that's the cover. Very nice hairdo, by the way, Rick. And I usually don't do this, but I'm going to show the back cover. And I'm also going to show you the gatefold. Don't worry, he's not really flying. I believe that was photoshopped. All right, so here we go. And, it is getting more difficult to do this series because when I'm looking for bad album covers, usually the first 100 or so are, they've been shown so many times, So I had to dig a little deeper to find some of these. All right, Slayer. That is really hard to read. Show no mercy. That's what it says, I believe. Thug or what? Cool Keith. Looks like Cool Keith likes to dress up. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Predator. Easy Prey. Imagine the budget for doing this album cover. Yeah, some more heavy metal covers here. Heavy Metal Chainsaw. Metal Lucifer. It's so easy to say. They worked on this album cover for seconds, I tell you. Brian Eno, great artist, of course. Music for films, not the most exciting album cover. Manila Road, Spiral Castle. I believe it's a bluegrass band. Whiplash, Power and Pain. That does look painful. Pantera, Projects in the Jungle. Little Feat, good band, of course, but just I think I have shown this one before, Down on the Farm, just kind of a weird, like, what does this have to do with the music? Not that I've heard this album, but just very strange. Swords and Axes, Overdrive, I believe is the name of the band. Or maybe the name of the band is Swords and Axes. I don't know. Rod Sacred, more heavy metal, of course. Release from Agony, Destruction. Shadows of Old. I can't even. Can you understand what the band's name is with that crazy font? Manowar. They've got a lot of these bad album covers. Fighting the World. Hydra Vein. Rather Death than False of Faith. Yeah, Diana Ross, great artist. Working Overtime, just not a very appealing album cover. Even she looks bored. Attila, I'm pretty sure I showed this before. Now, some of you might not know, though, that there's a very famous singer on that album cover, because before he went on his solo career, he was in this band for, I believe, one album. That's Billy Joel on the right. And I guess it's more of it is like a heavy metal type of album. Soft Cell, The Art of Falling Apart. My Magnificent Organ. Peter Chubb. He has a very chubby organ. Let's move on. Witch Hunter. Brave. Is it great? I guess it's grave. Like I don't understand why they do this, right? It's like, I think it's Grave Digger, but it could almost be Brave Digger. I'm getting a headache. Don Youngblood, For the Good Times. Yeah, Neil Young, Zuma. He's got some pretty bad album covers. Great album, though. Don't get me wrong. High on Mount Rushmore. I don't know. Is that the name of the band, I guess? Maybe I should do some research. Dick Newman, Let Me Touch Him. Birth Control. Okay, Operation. Once again, kind of hard to read that font. Jens Leckman, Night Falls Over Cortadala. Very strange. And as always, please remember to like the video. And after you watch the video, make sure you leave a comment below. Yeah, I think I've seen this before. Fleetwood Mac, they have some pretty good album covers, like Rumors, but they certainly had some bad ones. This was a US, I believe just a US album called English Rose. That's Mick Fleetwood. Johnny Harris. It looks like he's having a movement. Rabbit. Too much rock and roll. That guy on the far left thinks he's Geddy Lee. Death Crush. Can somebody read that for me? Thank you. Now, I am colorblind with red and green, so let me know if you have normal vision. At least for me, I find it really hard to read the text at the bottom. It blends in with the carpet, and they're very pretty dresses. What's on your mind? The Calvary something. The Calvary, I don't know. Let's move on. Yeah, Leslie West from, the band Mountain. He had a solo career, and this was one of his albums, Guitarded. Catapult. The single collection. There's only one song on the album. They only had one minor hit single. Trance. Power infusion. John White. Yes, he looks very white. All around the circle. Come and dance with Mustafa Teti Addy. Sex is fun, particularly when you're in love. Sex for adults, for mature adults. Just got to write something down for a second here. Let's move on. Trance again. Breakout. Oh boy. Gino Vanelli. I love his song. What was it called? Is it Black Cars? There's a couple of his songs I really do like. And he's got almost as much hair on his chest as I do on mine. Status Quo? Yeah. Don't pose on your album naked. Strip bare. The Bellamy Brothers, Strong Weakness. Specimen. Azok. I don't even know. Is that a word? Let me know in the comment section below. Gary Lowe, I Want You. The best of Gary Lowe. Quarter Flash, Take Another Picture. A bunch of dummies. Have Organ, Will Travel, George Wright. Theo Diepenbrock, Oh Darling. Chicken Shack, that's the name of the band. 100-Ton Chicken. Is that chromed? Fancy Footwork. Heavy. See, I can't read the band's name. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, that's a repeat. I still can't read that very well. Okay. It's Tough to Be White. That's racist. Silver Apples, I've heard of them. This is, what, from the late 60s, early 70s? It's kind of like a very early, kind of like a Kraftwerk kind of sound to them. I haven't really heard, I think I have heard a bit of it, but so from what I've heard, it's a good album. Just not a great album cover. And again, once again, the Lynx. They're not as good as the Kinks. Jodel Jerry, Sweet Cindy Lou. Let's move on. Heritage Singers, We're Just People. Tunge. I am not even going to bother. I don't know. Let's move on. The Dregs, Unsung Heroes. Uh-oh, they don't have any mouths. What's going on there? Toya, she is married to Robert Fripp. The Blue Meaning. Yeah, I've got a couple of Grand Funk albums. By this time, this was, I think, their final album with Mark Farner, and I never did buy it because by that time I was not buying Grand Funk albums, and it's all thanks to this album, which I've shown before. Yeah, when I saw this album in the record store, I was already kind of losing interest in them because they're going a bit too poppy for my liking. But when I saw this album cover in the record store, it's like, I'm not buying it. Nick Borgen live. Very nice uniforms. Rick Wakeman again, Rock and Roll Prophet, and there he is in his cape. Madam. Venom. Anvil. Strength of steel. Okay, for Bill Cosby, this is going to be a little bit of a different video because at the end, it's about maybe 2-3 minutes long, but you'll hear Bill Cosby doing one of his little comedy skits. Yeah, he talks to kids about drugs. Kick axe. Vices. Exodus. Bonded by blood. Pantera again. I am the night. Uriah Heep. Equator. Not too exciting of an album cover. Certainly not like, Demons and Wizards or The Magician's Birthday. Frigid Pink. Defrosted. Yeah, once again, great band, of course, but you think they could have come up with an exciting, because it's a live album, a nice band shot of them on stage, but instead you get this very boring album cover.
When I was 13.
Okay, this is the final one. This is Bill Cosby. Yeah, it's 2 minutes about. And this is the one vinyl record I remember my family did have in the 60s. And I would play it, but even back then I didn't really find it funny, And so what you're going to hear, and I've sped it up just a little bit, just so there's no problem with copyright, hopefully. But one of the tracks is called Spanish Fly. And if you know the story of Bill Cosby later on, kind of putting drugs or whatever, supposedly, in women's drinks, and then whatever, right? So it's kind of shocking to hear him, do a comedy bit on this. So I'll play it now. Yeah, so that just, it's not funny. And there's clips of Bill Cosby being interviewed by Larry King, I think in the, 80s or 90s. And he's talking about Spanish Fly again and just, lighthearted, joking about it, right? And that is it. That's my latest worst album covers of all time. Please remember to like the video and leave a comment below and consider becoming a member of my channel. Thank you. Have a great day.